Hi everyone. In this lesson, I'm going to import the transactions table. Let's quickly get to it. So in our normal way, we go to Get Data, Excel Workbook, click on Excel Workbook, then navigate source to our PC. So I'm going to get the credit transaction first, then I'll come back to get the debit transaction. So credit transactions, open. So that brings us to the Power Query Navigator. So I select the data, so it displays here. Like we said in tax 1, so no matter how clean your data is, you must transform your data set. So click on transform. So that brings us to our Power Query editor. So before we start working on this file, let's get the debit transactions. So we'll go to new source, click on new source, Excel workbook, then debit transactions, open. So we have two sheets for these debit transactions. We are going to select the two sheets. Then we click on OK. So that brings us back to our Power Query editor. So you can see that we have the two debit transactions here and then the credit transaction. So we are going to work on this transaction table, merge it, and we are going to append the two debit transactions table, then append it as well with the credit transactions table to a master table we call transactions. Let's just get that on the way. So first of all, let's work on debit transaction, debit 1 and debit 2. So we have our customers doing the transactions, the transaction type, the date, and so every information related to transaction, the channel of transaction, the transaction type. Yes, so we have those in the debit transaction 1 as well. So when we look at these two data sets, there is not a whole lot to clean up. So we'll take the debit transaction 1, we'll go to under home, we go to append queries, then we click on append queries. So two tables, we pick the debit transaction 1 is the current, then we append with debit transactions 2. So after the append, we click on OK. So the append is done. We have appended this query to debit transaction 1. So we go to credit transactions. So our credit transactions as well, we have identical columns right there, identical columns. So all we just do now is to append debit transactions to credit transactions. So let's make our credit transactions the master table. So we come to append queries under home, click on append queries, then we pick append with debit 1 since it's the appended table this is the table we appended before. Then we click on OK. So this is one method of achieving this, but the other method is we can just go ahead and append the three tables at once since they carry the same columns. So let's quickly do that. Let's append at once. So I'll go to debit 1. I will remove this step. If you want to return back to where you are coming from, you just come to your applied step and take that step off. So I take the step off. So I didn't do anything in debit transaction 2. I come to credit transactions and take the appended query step off. So I want to append the three tables at once. since I've confirmed that every column are arranged the same way and they're the same thing. So I come to append queries. So append queries. So instead of 2 tables, I go to 3 tables. So my current table is the credit transaction. So I select debit 1 and debit 2 together. Then I click on add. So this adds it to my table to append box. I click on OK. So this just appends the 3 tables. So before I started appending, I ensured that all the column names are the same thing. They're identical. And so let's check this, our customer ID. So our customer ID is in number format. Let's go back and check our customer table. Is it in number format? So it's in number format as well. So we are good. So I come to credit transactions. Then I have to, this is not credit transactions anymore because I've appended debit to it. So I have to rename this transaction. I can rename it right here. Transactions. So this is all about importing the transactions table. In the next lesson, we are going to be bringing in the loans table. See you in the next lesson.